International Marathon. Just wanted to share some of my thoughts with you guys on how it went, what I thought of the race in general, how my race strategy went, tips for running California International in the future. This was my third CIM. And this was my 46th marathon, so I did CIM in 2018 and 2019, and then this one was the day after my 43rd birthday, which was last Saturday on December 4th. So I ran CIM 2 days ago now. It's being Wednesday in Miami. 2 or 3 days ago I ran the race, I guess 3 days, and I always like to wait at least 24 to 48 hours after a race to do a recap, because you want to let the race kind of settle into your body and your mind and your spirit, and just understand with more perspective than just right after the race, which is also exciting. But one of the things I wanted to mention is I'm going to be doing a lot more lives and videos on YouTube, because I want to get more active and share what it's like to be a Masters marathon runner. I've been competing all over the world the last couple of years, the last 10 years really, and I wish I would have shared more of it, from Berlin to Boston to all the interesting races I've done, Chicago, CIM, Miami, Bahamas, Jamaica. There's so many beautiful places, Guatemala, that I'm going to take you guys and show you what a professional, sub-elite Masters runner is doing, how I train, and then the race experience itself, which is super fun. So this is one of my first YouTube videos in a while, so forgive any of the background noise or the audio or video. I do have more professional equipment at home, and I'll try to be more polished in future videos and even do some editing. But I wanted to share with you my thoughts today on CIM, which are, I had a really good race, even though I didn't feel that good during the race. Now let's break it down throughout the race, how it went. Let me take a quick sip of my mushroom coffee here. So that's one of the secrets to my success, actually, is Live Ultimate's Ultimate Shrooms. It's how I feel my body. It promotes my stamina, my athletic performance, helps with so many things, from immune function to healthy blood sugar and cholesterol levels, healthy blood pressure, healthy brain function, really strong brain function. Honestly, this is what I drank the first thing when I woke up before the race. Race morning, I'll get into that in a second, but let me take you through how the race went, first of all. But yeah, one of my secrets is mushrooms, medicinal mushrooms like reishi, chaga, cordyceps, lion's mane. But my race, so I felt really good on the start line. It was cold. We didn't get a chance to warm up. I took the bus. I took the first bus possible. I got there at 4 a.m. to do my my gear check. I packet picked up on Friday. Saturday I rested all day because I landed on Friday. Let's just take you back through how the whole trip went. I went by myself. It was a solo trip. So I left Miami at about 10:30 on Friday morning, and I got to Sacramento after stopping for a layover in Phoenix. There's no direct flights from Miami or Fort Lauderdale to Sacramento. So my layover was in Phoenix for 1 hour. Switched planes, and I got to Sacramento at about 3 o'clock. The expo was open until 7 p.m. on Friday, so I went to the expo at about 4 o'clock. The second I got off the plane, I went right to the expo on the bus, and it was a $2.50 ride, and that took me 22 minutes versus about $15 to $20 at least. I think it was actually 30 to 40. The Uber prices were surging, not only in Miami, which was a struggle for Art Basel, but also in Sacramento, because it was one of the busiest weekends of the year with CIM and also the Christmas tree lighting and a lot going on early December. It was a busy downtown. But I got to the expo at 4 o'clock. I got my packet. I even got to talk to the race director, who was a super nice guy. I asked him about getting into the elite corral, because in 2019 I wasn't able to be in the sub 3 hour corral, and that hurt my start, but I did get out to a decent start. But I was not unfortunate. I was not able to get into the elite corral this year because they take guys who are like running 106 and a half marathon and faster. And my best recent half is about 113 at Boston Marathon. I did that in the first half, but I can run a 110 if I train up for it. So I've run a 110.50. So basically, I was not able to start in the elite corral, but I was able to start in the sub 245 corral. So I met the race director. I got to ask him some pretty deep questions. I also got to meet the solutions team and the VIP program and elite athlete coordinator because I was just, I was being friendly. I was asking around, being nice. Visiting, from Florida all the way to Sacramento. I'm from Wisconsin. I have that Midwestern friendliness sometimes. So anyways, I got my packet and then I went back to my hotel and just rested, and I went to bed early, and I got a lot of sleep on Friday night. Slept in Saturday morning, did my little shakeout jog of about 3.5 miles. It was about 5K. It was progressive. The first mile was about 7:30. It was really cool outside too. It was about Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were in the 40s and 50s. So it was about 45 or 50 when I did my shakeout jog at about 11 a.m., which shows you, normally I would have done it a little earlier, around 9 or 10. But I slept in and I did some stuff. It was my birthday on Saturday, so my phone was going nuts. My family was calling me, my friends, my cousins, some of my best friends were all calling me, wishing me happy birthday. I was by myself in Sacramento, so I was really soaking that up in the morning. After my shakeout jog, which was progressive from about 7:30 to 7:10 to maybe 6:50 pace at the end, and I really opened it up a little at the end for some strides. That was it. I just took a quick shower, and then I got my nutrition going. And next step was I went to Whole Foods, and I got a bunch of good groceries, and I ate a big lunch at Whole Foods, a bunch of vegetables, some fish, good source of protein, lean protein. Low fat is good the day before the race to get lean, low fat, high energy, high calorie if possible, high carb. I had definitely had a lot of carbs. I had bread, pretzels. I don't really rely on carbs, but I definitely had some bread and pretzels. I had, I know I had some other stuff. So I got these multi-grain bagels that had protein in them that were really good, called Killer Mike's, and I was eating them all weekend. Had some smoked salmon and turkey deli meat. So I basically had some really good protein that was lean. I had a lot of greens, a salad. I had yams or sweet potatoes, which were really good, candied yams, all from the hot bar at Whole Foods. And I met a professional marathoner there who was competing at CIM from Ontario, or I think he's definitely from Canada. I take that back, Toronto. From Toronto, his name is Eric Bang, and he was going for a 2:11 or 2:12 and a top 3 finish. He ended up running 2:18:01, which is an incredible time. I don't think he had a great race, but he still had a good time. But he's a very fast guy, and I met him. He was shooting for a podium spot. I think he got number 10 or 15. I think he was like 15th place. Yeah, it was probably 15th place with 2:18. So shout out to Eric Bang. I met him and his friend from Toronto. I met another couple from Boston, all at Whole Foods. We got, that was fun to connect with runners throughout the weekend. So that was Saturday. I went to bed Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Wow, that was early. I got a lot of sleep. I probably woke up 3 or 4 times. I know that I got about 7 hours of sleep because my alarm went off at 3:30, but I woke up at 3:20 automatically because I think I woke up at about 3 or 2:30 as well. But I got really good sleep. I have to say my sleep was about 9 out of 10. Now I had to get up at 3:30 or 3:20 because I had a lift scheduled for 4 a.m. because gear drop is at the finish line only this year, not at the starting line like it has been in years past. And that did make it a little bit more challenging for the runners. I'm going to be honest. I know the race did what they could and it wasn't that hard, but instead of, and if you wanted to, you could drop your gear off Saturday at the finish line gear check when it was open, but then you can't check your cell phone, which is the biggest thing you should check. I mean, they say not to check your cell phone, but I love checking your cell phone because then when you finish the race, you can get an Uber or a Lyft back to your hotel quicker. So I definitely checked my gear at 4 a.m. When it opened. I got there at 4:08, I would say, to gear check. It opened at 4 and it was open till 4:45. So they only give you 45 minutes to do your gear check. So after gear check, I got on the first bus. Now they take you on a bus 26 miles to Folsom. The start line is on Folsom, and then it goes to Sacramento. It's a point-to-point course. It's pretty much a straight shot. I got on the first bus possible out of about 100 or 200 buses. I should back up and say about 8,000 people did the race and it was sold out. This was their comeback year. Normally they have 10,000, but and they sell out nearly every year because this is a very popular, very competitive race. I'll tell you about that in a second, about my finishing place and how good it is there versus other major world majors. Okay, so I took the first bus possible to the start line, takes about 45 minutes. So I got on the bus at about 4:20, 4:15. I was on the first bus possible, and I was in the front of the bus. They loaded up the buses. We're wearing our masks the whole time. I had a COVID negative test for the weekend. So 45-minute bus ride. We got there. Bus probably left at about 4:40 because they wait a while, maybe 4:30. They wait a while to fill up the bus. We were the first bus to leave. We got there at about 5:15, if I remember correctly. That's a long time. The race starts at 7. Now, I just wanted to get there early. Sometimes I get there late because in the past I haven't had the gear check, but when I got there late in 2019, I didn't get there late. I got there an hour early versus this year an hour 45 early. But I got there an hour 15 or an hour early in 2019 and warmed up with my friends in the cold. I gear checked, yes, and I used the bathrooms, and by the time I got to my corral, it was hard to get into a sub 3 hour ranking area or self-seating corral area. So this year, I was the first person there basically. When we got there, I got off the buses right away just to use the bathroom. Now I should say CIM has the most bathrooms of any marathon and race in the world, and that's a fact. I think they have over 500. I don't know, it's something like they have one bathroom for every 10 participants or something. Crazy. Like I think they have like over 500 bathrooms. You could see a line of bathrooms going for over half a mile near the start line. Like, where the buses park and stage you, you're about 300 to 400 meters from the start line, which is going to be to your left, let's say. To your right, there is 500 plus bathrooms. I mean, no one had any problem getting a bathroom. There's no lines, even with 8,000 people. I had a pristine bathroom all to myself when I got there. And then I got a bathroom use again. I had to go again, before the race. But I used the bathroom, got back on the bus because I should tell you, the temperature was only 42 degrees when we got there. And the race time start temp was about 43. Overnight low was about 41. Daytime highs were 50 to 60 degrees. It was super misty and cloudy. On the bus ride there, the bus windows were all covered. You couldn't see more than 50 feet in front of the bus. And the driver had to kind of wipe the window to see. It was so foggy and humid. So it was super high humidity level and 42 degrees and 0 winds. The winds were like 4 to 5 miles an hour out of the north or something. There was no wind. The wind was not a factor. The cold weather was an amazing factor in our favor, but it made me want to stay on the bus because I'm just really warm-blooded now that I live in Miami for the last 13 years. So I stayed on the bus until there was only 25 minutes until the race, which it was a calculated decision. I could have got off earlier at like 45 minutes to go and done a warm-up. That might have been ideal. But I got off with 25 minutes ago after using the bathroom one last time. I got to my corral. They let me as close as 2:45. Anyone who's running a 2:45 or faster could be up against. I got up against the fence that puts you up against the elites, but they had a big elite warm-up area. I could see the elites warming up. Normally I would be in that area unless the race is overly restrictive. In Berlin I wasn't in that area, but I was in a sub-elite first 100 people after the pros. I think CIM could let people that do under a 2:40 into a special area, because like I ran a 2:31 the last 2 years there, and it wasn't hard, but there's a little elbowing in the first 200, 300 meters just to get started and get a good position. I feel like especially as a masters athlete, I turned 43 the day before. That's a big deal. I'm in my 40s now, and I've been competing since I was 28, and I haven't had a break. I've been competing for 13 to 14 years. Well, actually, I'm sorry, 15 years. 15 years I've been a competitive marathoner. I've done over 46 marathons now. And I do think the masters runners and people that are, running a very fast time for their age division should be in a special seated area so they can not have as much stress on them, maybe. It's just a nice way to kind of develop American running. But overall, I loved the race and I loved the organization. So with about 30 seconds to go, they moved the fence that was separating us from the elite corral, and they dropped the rope, or they kept us against the rope. They had us grab the rope and walk up to the elites, and then they pulled the rope out of the way, and there's about 30 seconds to go, and I'm right up against the elite corral, the elite runners, the top 50 runners in the race. So I probably started in about 150th position because I was about 10 to 15 rows back from the start line. So when they said go, and they did, the big air horn and whatever firing gun they use, it took me about 10 seconds to get across the start line. I'd say 8 to 10 seconds. For the 50 to 100 people in front of me, probably about 100 to 130 based on my 5K position of 125, I believe. I was able to get over the start line fairly quickly. So now I'm going to tell you about my splits, because I told you about the pre-race. And honestly, I felt pretty good in my body. I felt good overall starting the race. So the temperature was cold. I had arm sleeves on. I had gloves on, professional running gloves, nice arm sleeves, tank top like singlet. I did have a hat on, but it was not a nice hat. I mean, it was nice because my mom gave it to me, but it wasn't that warm. It was a Livestrong, Lance Armstrong Nike hat from the 90s. And it was more meant for like when you shovel snow in Wisconsin, or just for like wearing to the mall, not meant for running a marathon in. But I wore it for 18 miles. I told my mom the other day, I wore that hat for 18 miles. And then when I pulled it off, I was getting a little hot around mile 18. I was surprised actually multiple times throughout the race to like remember that I was wearing the hat, because it was protecting my ears from the cold, and it was 42 degrees. And remember, where I am in Miami right now, it's 80 today. And it's been 80 the whole fall. We get down into the 60s in like January and February, and like once in a while we get in the 50s. But for us to be in the 40s is like crazy cold. We rarely ever get a 40-degree day here. Like once every year or two, we get one day that's 40 degrees. I'm not used to it. I'm from Wisconsin, but I've lived in beautiful Miami. It gets to 100 here most of the year, 95 to 100. At our lows at night are 75, 70 degrees. So anyways, I was very cold. I had really nice running gloves on from Salming. I had nice arm sleeves from Skins. I had a Nike singlet on, which in the future, I think I'm gonna wear something a little more snug, because my singlet was a little too loose and long. And I felt like it was, you know, kind of something that was kind of like a dress on me. But not really, but just a little long. I wore compression shorts from CWX, and I wore Nike Next Percent shoes. So the Next Percent are incredible. They help protect your feet during the race. They give definitely an edge. Everyone's using them now in the marathon for the last couple of years. Mine are 2 years old. I've been using the same pair of Next Percent since November of 2019. So, I mean, I've been a very frugal runner. I spend my money to get the registration and the airfare, but I don't fly first class. I fly coach, of course. I get the most affordable ticket always. I try to find a reasonable hotel for $100 or less. If my girlfriend's coming, maybe we'll get something a little nicer like an Airbnb, but sometimes we get whatever we can get because we go to the Boston Marathon and it's busy. But bottom line is I was wearing my Next Percent. I had my gear on. I was a little cold starting the race, but we quickly warmed up, and I heard people saying on the bus by mile 10 we're gonna be warm. So yeah, we got warmish eventually, but it was cold the whole race. It was about 42 to 43 degrees the whole race. So I'll take you through my splits now, guys, and then I'll tell you my time in a second, my finishing time. But my first 5K I did in 17:36, and you can see these on athlinks.com. So basically, if you go to Google and you type in Bryan Huberty, California International Marathon 2021 results, it'll take you to an Athlinks page. So at 5K, I was in 129th place out of 7,843 runners. So about 8,000 runners total started the race, and at 5K, I hit that at 17:36 at a pace of 5:40 per mile. I was in 129th place overall at that point and 4th in my division. Now that's very interesting. I was 4th in my division because that's what I finished overall. Men's 40 to 44 and Masters, which is 40 plus, I finished 4th overall. And I'm gonna talk about that at the end of the video because that was a big deal. Out of about 780 people in my age group, I got 4th place. So that was a huge win for me. So 15K was my next split. They didn't have my 10K split, but basically for 5K, I hit 5:40 pace for the first 5K, which is 3.1 miles. I was running like 5:38 pace. The funny thing is my Garmin was clipping off at 5:33 on many miles, actually 5:38. It was like 5:38, 5:37. I did hit a 5:33 at some points, I feel like, in the first 10K. And I was a little scared, but I was running with a good group. I was scared because it didn't feel that hard, but I was running a little fast because my goal pace was 5:43. So I didn't necessarily want to be doing 10 minutes per second faster, but it turns out I was doing 5:40 pace, which is good. That's another reason you don't always trust your watch. I was trying to go off the clocks on the course, but there weren't clocks every mile. There was a clock every 5K or so. So I felt pretty good. there's a lot of hills. Let's talk about the hills before I get into 15K split. CIM is not an easy course. Whoever said that is just a hater. A lot of people on Let's Run, which I love Let's Run, but a lot of posters, a lot of toxic people want to say, and they say this on other websites too, oh, CIM is like a ski slope. You just go downhill. That's not true. The first 16 miles are littered with hills. There's about 2 to 3 dozen, I guess at least 24 to 25 hills. Seriously nice hills. Nothing like we have in Miami. Like a big climb up for like 200 or 300 meters. I mean, some were 300 meter plus hills. You know, and then you have a downhill afterwards, you know, and sometimes, yes, there were long downhills, and I was grateful for those long downhills, but those long downhills are hard on your quads, and, you know, we're all rolling fast at sub 540 pace. It can beat up your quads a little bit, but the nice thing about the hills, I do love hills, they switch up what muscle group you're using, so they kind of give your body, versus Chicago, which is so flat, you are just like cruising, and you're using the same muscle group the entire marathon. At CIM, you're using different muscle fibers and muscle groups to activate to get up the hill and down the hill, which is a nice way to shake things up. Sorry about the ambulance in the background, guys. I knew that was going to happen during this video. I'm in the city of Miami Beach. Fire truck coming down the road. So give me a second here. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the hills. Yep. Good old Miami Beach, there's always something exciting going on. So guys, the hills are no joke. You don't get into flatland until the last 10K. The last 10K going into Sacramento and the capital is flat. 100% flat, and that is amazing. From mile 21 or 22 on, for the last 5 miles, definitely the last 5K, maybe the last 4 miles are flat, which is a beautiful thing. I crushed that last section at like 5:55 pace, 6 flat pace. That was amazing. But the hills are challenging. It's actually not as fast as Chicago. I think Berlin is a little faster. I think the competition makes it faster. I think wearing these shoes, I am a little faster, but maybe 30 seconds to a minute. I'm not talking like minutes faster. I can run in any shoes fast. It's just these protect your feet. And you don't feel as beat up after wearing the next percent the next day, or even right after the race and during the race. They protect your feet with all that amazing foam cushioning they have, and they're also very fast because of their drop and because of their the fiber plate. Oh, here we go. We got another ambulance coming. There's something going on. Well, next one I'll do in the studio, guys. Thanks for hanging there through this video. It's like an IG live. I'm coming up on 23 minutes. I am on Instagram, and I do a lot of videos on there, but I wanted to do a YouTube video to start building my YouTube following. So subscribe if you can. I'm going to be sharing a lot of knowledge. I appreciate it. I follow the people on YouTube who I respect and love as, you know, really passionate, knowledgeable, mindful people in marathon, nutrition, you know, mushroom science, everything from, you know, I'm also into crypto. So I'll share some finance stuff with you guys soon. But I want to talk right now about the CIM marathon. And I went through 15K at 52:39. I went through 10K at about 34:30. I'm sorry, 35 flat. 35:30 is my 2:30 split. 17:42 per 5 kilometer. Per 5 kilometer, you want to hit 17:42 to hit 2:30 on the dot. That's a 5:43 per mile pace for 26 miles, 26.2. So I hit 10K at about, well, I hit 5K with a 8-second cushion. I hit 10K with about a 30-second cushion at about 35 flat. And that was about a 30-second cushion on 35:30. I hit 15K at 52:39, which is about like still a 45 to a minute cushion. I was basically holding a 5:39 pace. At 15K, I had a 5:39 average, and at half marathon, I had a 5:39 average for my first 13 miles. I hit the half at 1:14:07, so basically 1:14 flat. And at the halfway point, I had moved up 10 spots from 129th place to 119th place out of 8,000 some runners. And in my division, I had moved up 1 spot to 3rd place. So that's pretty cool. At the halfway point, I was in 3rd place in my age group. Out of 800 some runners, I was in 3rd place for males 40 to 44. That's an elite area to be in. For California International Marathon has all the runners that are fast. This is not a slow marathon. This is not a marathon people walk. this is one of the most competitive marathons in the US. Normally, hitting a half in a marathon at 1:14, or in Boston, I hit it at 1:13:30 or something, and that's not that hard for me to do. I could have done that at CIM. I could have run 1:13:30 easy. I was hitting the brakes a bunch on these downhills because I didn't want to use up too much of my quad strength. I was saving my quads for the last 5 to 10 miles of the race, and thank God I did, because I needed them. So I hit half marathon at 1:14 flat, basically. And then the second half was where the struggle really began. I started to get a side stitch in my right side, in my psoas muscle. I'll kind of point to it right here, right on the right side. And it was like right under my rib cage. So it was bothering me a lot from about mile 14 until even the finish. I mean, it started to go away around mile 21 or 22, but for like a good 6 to 8 miles from mile 14, it was bothering me to the point where I had to slow down a little bit. I couldn't keep going, and that was what slowed me down. It wasn't my legs, it wasn't my heart, it wasn't my lungs, it wasn't the cold, it wasn't my fueling, although I was struggling to get gels down. I got a gel down 5 minutes before the race. I took a second surge, and then 8 miles into the race. You're supposed to take a gel every 5 to 6 miles, and 8 miles into the race, I got my first gel in, besides my pre-race gel, and then I only had 2 gels in the entire race, and that's an incredible story. You should be taking down 4 to 5 gels, and it's not good what I did. In fact, at the finish line, I almost blacked out. When I crossed the finish line, I put my head against the fence because I was so tired. I gave it my all. I'm really impressed with the 2:31:38 I ran. I was 20 seconds off a PR, but in the second half, I struggled a lot. The first half, I felt great, and that's a pretty common story in the marathon. It's really tough to have a great second half unless you hold back a lot. Now, I saw some pros hold back a lot, and I saw some pros not hold back a lot, and some pros quit and were walking on the side of the road, and some pros passed me. The pro woman who won the race, Sarah Vaughn, she passed me at about mile 14 or 15, and she was cooking. And then the next 2 or 3 girls finished ahead of me, 3 women. Top 3 U.S. women finished ahead of me. Top 3 women overall finished ahead of me. Sarah ran a 2:26, and she negative split like a 1:16 and a 1:10. Or I think she did 1:15, 1:11. But she negative split by 4 minutes, and she flew by me at mile 14. It was amazing with the trucks, the video crew and everything. And then the next 2 women, Carrie Demoff, and the other woman, I can't remember her name. Carrie Demoff's from Bowerman Track Club, and she was wearing the new Alpha Flies that she designed herself with her team there. They're like next generation Alpha Flies. So these women were crushing it in the state-of-the-art Nike technology. They ran 2:26 first place. Second place was like 2:29. Third place was 2:30. So that was the top 3 women. I was 2:31, so the top 3 women were right ahead of me. I ran with a blind athlete for 90% of the race. He struggled a little at the end. Unfortunately, I think he finished behind me. I thought he was going to finish ahead of me. His name was Chaz, Chaz, C-H-A-Z, and he was running with the Boulder Track Club, and they had a bunch of pacers for him, guides. And he had a guide for the first 13.1 and a guide for the second 13.1. So they were telling him everything about the course, about the street, about the cheering zones, about, everything he was experiencing that he couldn't see because he was blind. He is blind. So I was running with a blind runner, a very talented blind runner who must have run about 2:32. I saw him for the first 18 or 19 miles of the race. We were right next to each other. I paced with him. I was sometimes 6 inches behind him, sometimes a foot ahead of him, sometimes 5 feet ahead of him, sometimes 20 feet behind him. And eventually I think he struggled in the last 6K or so. I think he's in his early 30s. Great runner named Chaz. So second half of the race, I struggled to fight off a side stitch. My 30K split, remember the half marathon's 21K, and I went through the half marathon at 5:39 average pace for the first 13.1 miles. The next 5K checkpoint was at 30K. I hit that at a 5:42 pace, and I went from 119th to 130th. So that shows you right there how I dropped back 11 positions after moving up 10 positions. So the first half marathon, I moved up 10 positions from 129th to 119th. And then within 8K after the half marathon, within 5 miles, at mile that would be 18, I'd moved back to 130th place, dropping 11 positions. And then at the next checkpoint, 10K later at 40 kilometers, which is 40 kilometers is only 2 kilometers to go because the marathon is 42 kilometers. So 30 kilometers is 18.6 miles. So let's add another 6.2, another 10K onto 18.3, and that's 18.5 plus 6 is 24. 24.5 miles. So at mile 24.5, that is 40K. And I've dropped back 4 more spots from 130th to 134th. So I went from 119th place at the halfway point to 134th place at mile 24.5. And then the last 2.2 kilometers, because a marathon is 42.2 kilometers, I was able to speed up a little bit, I believe. Although I take that back, I kind of slowed down a second. I went from 5:42 at the 30K checkpoint to 5:46 at the 40K checkpoint. So I slowed down 4 kilometers per second. And then overall, but actually I take that back. These are my overall average pace to give me the entire cumulative time of the race. So I take that back. When I hit the half at 1:14.07, that's more like a 5:41 pace, because a 1:15 on the dot is 5:43. So instead of 5:39, which I said earlier, let's say 5:41. Okay, 2-second difference. Now I hit the 30K split at probably 5:45 to 5:50 pace, and the 40K split at probably 5:55 to 5:58 pace. And then I probably finished at about 5:58 pace because my watch was clipping off just under 6-minute pace. I remember pushing hard. The last 5 miles, I actually had a little surge, I felt like, but I didn't really have a surge in that I got faster. I just had a surge and I didn't get slower. I was able to recruit more muscle groups, and I moved from 134th place to 128th place overall in the last 2.7 miles. So I moved up 6 spots with 2 miles to go. That's a good thing. I guess it's a little less than 2 miles. It would be 1.7. With 1.7 miles to go, I moved up 6 spots. So I passed 6 people in the last 1.7 miles. In a competitive marathon like CIM, that's a big deal. And I remember there were a couple frustrated people on the side of the road or walking or jogging. And, you know, sometimes people are falling apart with 2 miles to go. They can't even operate their muscles. I was using my arms. Like, let me put my coffee down, my mushroom coffee. I was using my arms like this. I was just like fighting through the air, falling forward. Like literally, I'm gonna stand up and show you guys. I was like falling forward and fighting and just like literally falling forward. Just falling forward for the last 2 miles to get to that finish line. Maybe even 3 miles. I was, with 800 meters to go, there's a sign. With 400 meters to go, there's another sign. With 200 meters to go, there's a final sign that says 200 meters to go. And meanwhile, you're turning corners in downtown Sacramento at the state capitol. And it's a 10-kilometer straight shot into the Capitol. So it's an incredible experience. The crowds weren't huge, but there were crowds on the course, but it's nothing like Boston. Although there was a good crowd in downtown Sacramento and at certain parts on the course, like at the halfway point, and there were people cheering for the pros, people cheering for the blind athlete I was running with, Chaz, people cheering for all types of runners that their family and friends are out there. It's a great city and a great marathon. I'm pretty certain I'm gonna go back next year for my 4th one, because guess what? It's on my birthday, December 4th next year. This year it was on the day after my birthday. So this year it was it's always on Sunday. My birthday was on a Saturday this year, December 4th. Next year, the race is on December 4th next year instead of December 5th. So I'm really excited. I could run a marathon, one of the best ones of my life, hopefully, because it's so fast. And now I know not to like panic about the starting line position or about even the bus situation or the bathrooms or how do you get to the start line. I got it all figured out now after 3 marathons. I really do. And at 46 total marathons and 8 Boston marathons and 3 in Berlin and New York and 5 in Chicago and all over the world. I've done a lot of world majors. I'm getting better now at understanding the logistics and the preparation. And I'm gaining a lot more confidence, and that way I don't panic during the race and I keep my legs moving, because as a masters runner at 43, one of the hardest things is keeping your body together. The soreness is a real factor. Aging is a factor. You gotta have better nutrition as you age. You gotta have smarter training. You have to prioritize recovery. You have to be really wise. You have to manage stress. You have to get good sleep, follow a good lifestyle. I can't even say how many thousands of times leading up to the race in the last 3 months of the race, I focused on nutrition and on doing healthy things for my body. Because every single little healthy thing you can do every day, from getting 20,000 steps in a day, if you can, that's a goal that I have, and that's a goal I did shoot for as many days as I could. Before Boston, I had a 22-day streak. of getting 20,000 steps a day in. Or if it's swimming and to add volume onto your running, swimming is a great way to add endurance onto your running. I'm gonna be picking up swimming. Same thing with the weight room. Get in the weight room, do some strength training. Lighter weight, higher rep, just keep the body moving. Elliptical, alter G, elliptico, anything you can do. Some light bicycle riding to shake out the legs. I went to Guatemala in August to do some mountain training that helped me so much. Overall, I have to credit a lot of my training with iRun and some of the races I did leading up to this race. Boston helped me a lot doing that October 11th. So did Flanagan's on Flanagan's was November 28th, which is only like 8 days before the race. I believe it was on the 26th actually. November 26th, I did a really good 10K. I won the Masters division and was paid a nice check, which helps, guys. It really helps. Like, you don't get paid in probably only like 1 out of every 50 races as a Masters or elite athlete. You really don't. You can win a lot of races and not get paid any dollars. It's not about the money. But if the race is gonna support you, take it, because you need it. All these, all this sacrifice and all this work. I mean, I literally have been running 60 to 90 miles a week for the last year. And before that, the last 14, 15 years, 50 to 80 miles a week. To stay in shape for the marathon, there's never a major break more than a week or so. I've not taken more than a couple of weeks or a couple months off ever, and that was only due to injury. So let's get back to CIM. I finished the race in 128th place overall. As in my gender for males, I was 122nd. So there were 6 women ahead of me. I said 3 earlier, I take that back. There were 6 women that finished ahead of me. I was 122nd male out of 4,507 males. So 4,507 males, I was 122nd, which is definitely top 10%, right? Top 10% would be 450. Yep, out of 4,500. So I am in the top 3%, I think. Yeah, I think top 2 or 3%, maybe even top 1%. I don't have a calculator in front of me, but that's a good spot. 122nd place at CIM in males. I would have been top 100 at Boston with a 231 about. In Chicago, top 100 is under 233. And most of the world majors, under 233, 232, you're gonna be in the top 100, okay? So CIM is a very competitive course. In my division, my age group, males 40 to 44, and in my Masters division, men 40 plus, I was 4th overall, which is incredible. Out of 719 in my age group, I was 4th overall in my age group, males 40 to 44, and I just turned 43. So I'm not 40, 43. I was born in 1978. Definitely feel 43, but I still feel young too. Done 46 marathons, so that's how I kind of feel 43. But I'm in good shape. I can run 70 to 80 miles a week, so hey, I'm blessed. I'm competing at a high level. My times have been consistent over the last 12 years. A lot of my friends, I've been competing for about 15 years. The last 10 to 12 years, I've been running even faster now in the marathon. This 231 was 20 seconds off my PR. My PR, so my race time from Sunday in the CIM 2021 edition was 2:31:38, and my best ever is 2:31:16 or 2:31:20. I believe it was 2:31:16 from the 2019 CIM marathon. So 2 years ago in the exact same marathon, I ran 2:31:16, 22 seconds faster than my time on Sunday. 22 seconds is not a lot over 26 miles. That's less than a second per mile. So I wasn't trying to hit my PR. I was trying to break 2:30. That's why I ran a 1:14:07. I was on pace for 2:28 through the halfway point, but I lost about, what would that be? I lost 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I lost 3 minutes and 31 seconds in the second half exactly. So 3:31 was my positive split. So I would have run a 1:17:31. I ran a 1:17:31 for my second half split and a 1:14:07 for my first half split. So again, it's a positive split, but it's tough to negative split. I'm gonna try it sometime. I've never really been able to pull off the negative split. I've even split 6 flat pace for an entire marathon at A1A Fort Lauderdale and run 2:36 on the dot, which is like 6 flat pace in Fort Lauderdale to win it in 2016. But yeah, 2:31 is my second fastest time ever. 2:31 is my PR. I'm aiming for that sub 2:30. I'm not gonna stop until I get it. I'm doing another marathon, hopefully Grandma's in June. to get myself another opportunity in the next 6 months, because I'm in good shape now. Want to take advantage of that, but I don't want to do another marathon right away, because, and I could do A1A Fort Lauderdale Marathon in February. I could do Jacksonville in December, which would be stupid in a week or two. Not enough recovery time. What I am doing is Naples Half Marathon on January 16th. Guys, you got to come to Naples. It's the fastest half marathon in the US. I love it. Race director is so nice. The whole community there is nice. I love Naples. My family used to go there all the time for Thanksgiving or for the holidays, for December. They had a condo down there. My cousins, I would meet them there and just spend a weekend in the winter in Naples, a nice break from Miami. It's such a laid-back community. The race is super fast. It's like CIM, but there's no hills. It's super flat. The temperature is usually 40 to 50 degrees, which is cool for that time of year. I mean, Naples is cool in January. Cooler than Miami. Miami will be 60 to 70 degrees. Naples will be 40 to 50. If we get lucky, it'll be like 42. If it's a little warm, it'll be 50 to 60 or 65 degrees. And that's in the morning. But hopefully it'll be about 40 degrees. That would be an ideal temperature. My fastest time from Naples ever is a 1:11:38 half marathon from 2011. And my PR is from 2016, a 1:10:52 from Philadelphia, rock and roll half. I'm hoping this year to run a 1:11 there. I've been running 1:13 in like Boston and CIM. I mean, I basically ran a 1:13 there the other day, 1:14:07. I could have easily run 30 seconds faster, easily. I can run a 1:13 right now on a good course. So I'm gonna aim to keep training hard in December and the 2 weeks of January. I'm not gonna taper for Naples. I'll just, cut back the training a little bit with 2 or 3 days ago, but I don't taper a lot in general. For CIM, I probably tapered like 5 to 7 days. Like, I don't taper very long. Sometimes I'll taper 2 weeks if I do like a 90 to 110 mile build per week build. But if I'm only doing like 60 or 70 miles a week, which is what I was hitting before CIM, I did Boston October 11th, and then I did Halloween half marathon on October 31st, and I won that race in 1:14:30, I believe, or 1:14:50. So that was a fast time for that course in hot conditions. It was about 72 degrees in Miami Beach, and it was windy on the boardwalk. You're weaving around, you're doing a lot of corners, dodging people. It's a little slippery out. It's a tough course to run really fast on, and there wasn't any real competition. I led the race the entire race. From start to finish, I was in first place, and I ran a 1:14:50. So I did that before CIM. I did Flanagan's 10K in 34:50, fast time. But I wanted to get sub 33. It was a super rainy day. So I've been racing a lot lately. I did Boston, Halloween half. I did Flanagan's 10K, one of the most competitive 10Ks in Florida. Shout out to Runners Depot. They crushed it. That race had guys running 28:50 and girls setting course records in 31:50 in the rain. Wow, that race was something else. I'm doing that race next year too. Flanagan's, I'm doing CIM next year. I'm gonna do Grandma's in June. So Grandma's is in Duluth, Minnesota. I'm gonna do Naples in January 16th to do that half marathon. I'll probably do the Tropical 5K on January 30th to get a really fast 5K in, a sub 16, which is gonna feel incredible because I ran like 17:10 last summer in the heat. And then I ran like 16, in the 10K in Flanagan's, first 5K for that 10K race, I ran in 16:43. I can run a 16:10 in my sleep right now. That was in the rain. I ran a 16:43 in the first half of a 10K. So I can run sub 16 on a good course with good competition, point to point, like Tropical 5K. I've done 15:45, 15:50 on that course a couple times. I've won that race 4 to 5 times in sub 16. I ran it in 15:58 2 years ago, but about 3 or 4 years ago, I ran it in like 15:52, 15:46. I ran some fast times there. My PR is 15:34 on the track, and I believe 15:42 on the roads. So I'm gonna run, my next marathon is gonna hopefully be Grandma's Marathon in June in Duluth, Minnesota, so I can have a big marathon to train for. Go to Guatemala in March, in February, in April, put in some work, maybe even May. Go to Guatemala once a month in 2022. I love Guatemala. Shout out to Kobe Morales and Casa Adriana and Tecpan. Amazing place, amazing experience. I'm gonna do a whole bunch of videos down there for you guys. My next marathon is gonna be Grandma's in June. I believe it's like June 9th or June 16th, right around my mom's birthday. Shout out to my mom. Maybe she can come for her birthday to Duluth and see me run the marathon. She's always so supportive. She's come to Boston and Chicago many times. and she's also come to Florida many times to see me run, and she's seen me run in Madison, where I was born, and ran for 30 years. Well, I started running at age 28, and I lived in Madison for 30 years. So I was a soccer player until age 28, but I was born and raised in Madison, Wisconsin, and I moved to Miami Beach in 2008 when I turned 30, and now I'm 43. So my next marathon is Grandma's, but I'm gonna come back and do CIM in December, and I may also do a race in September, maybe Berlin. I don't know if it's too late to register. I love Berlin. It's too late to get into London, and Tokyo is just it's a lot of work to get into Tokyo and to run that race. You got to save a lot of money, plan that one for a year in advance. I think Tokyo and London are my 2023 goals to complete my 5-star world majors. I have done Berlin, which is a major, 3 times, Boston 8 times, which is a major, Chicago 5 times, which is a major, and New York City, which is a major, world major, 1 time in 2010. And I was supposed to run it in 2012, but the Superstorm Sandy and the tragedy of that storm canceled it. So I've run like 15 world majors, Abbott world majors, but I have not done Tokyo or London yet. Those are my 2023 goals. 2022, I'm putting it out there right now. Grandma's Marathon in June. I'm not running Boston in April. I'm gonna take a break. Grandma's in June. Berlin in September 15th-ish, 20th, whenever it is, September 20th. And then CIM on my birthday, on my 44th birthday. Wow, it feels weird to say that. I remember when I was like 10 to 15 years old, and I was like, I can't wait till I'm 18. I can't wait till I'm 21. I can't wait till I'm in college. Can't wait till I'm 25. Or even just 18 seemed like such an old age when you're like 10 or 15 years old. Now I'm 43, and I'll be 44 when I'm talking about running my next CIM, which will be my 4th CIM. Guys, I'm gonna get that 2:30, no doubt about it. I could have gotten it in this race, I really could have, if I didn't suffer so much in the second half. But I'm proud of how I turned on the gas with 1.7 miles to go. I was able to pass 6 people in the last 1.7 miles. That's for real. Oh, and those were 6 men actually. It wasn't 6 women because I stayed in the same position. So 6 in my gender. Or my gender, I'm sorry, moved up 6 positions, but overall, I stayed in 6 places. Oh, it shows 6 places each way. Well, whatever. I passed 6 people with 1.7, and you know, much love was given to everyone on the course. It's not about passing. It's not ego. You know, I love listening to podcasts from Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman, Andrew Huberman, other really mindful people, Dr. Mark Plotkin, Plants of the Gods podcast, Let's Run podcast. I like long format podcasts. I'm coming up on 47 minutes right now. I'm about to end it. I've got a lot of information I want to share with you guys. A lot of my background, I'm a scientist. I analyze data. I'm very data driven. I love thinking math while I'm running. I love long format. I love interviews. You're going to see me interview some really awesome runners. You're going to see me get to show you some really cool behind the scenes experiences. I'm gonna start bringing my phone to more and more races that I'm maybe not, both that I'm competing in. I'm gonna show you like the finish line, like the energy, and I'm gonna hopefully have some friends and family and supporters being able to film parts of the race for me. We'll put together some nice videos for you. Production isn't my forte, but I'll work on it. But I'm gonna get you guys some more content because I really believe in sharing, the beauty of the world of marathoning and what it is to be a masters athlete. And I live in beautiful Miami Beach. I work for amazing Live Ultimate. Shout out to Live Ultimate. They've been supporting me for 15 years. Well, I've actually worked for them 10 years. So 10 years of support in my professional marathoning career. And I've traveled the world, and their superfoods, the Ultimate Shrooms and Ultimate Elixir, has given me so much energy, so many nutrients and stamina, detoxification, alkalizing, immune boosting, athletic performance boosting. Now they're Ultimate C. I've got all the nutrition I need for my marathoning, for traveling, which is very important to keep your immune system strong. Guys, I just wanted to give you my thoughts after CIM. I love the race. It's one of the most competitive marathons in the world. Definitely one of the top 3 competitive marathons in the US. I've done it 3 times. I'm gonna go back for number 4. I ran a 2:31:38. I'm not gonna stop until I get a sub 2:30. And even when I get to sub 2:30, I'm gonna keep going. Because one of my biggest goals as a runner is to run a marathon when I'm 100 years old. I ran my first marathon when I was 20 years old in the year 2000, the Madison Marathon. I ran it in 4:18. That's a 10-minute per mile pace. Now I'm 43 years old, 23 years later in the year 2021. 23 years after I ran my first marathon in 4:18, I'm running 2:31:38. That's good. You know how much of an improvement that is? That's, let's do the math. 18 plus 89, so 17 plus 90 is 107 minutes. It's a 107-minute improvement, which is 1 hour and 20 minutes, right? 1 hour and 10? No, let's do that one more time. Okay, so the 1 hour from 3 hours to 4 hours is 60 minutes, and then let's add on another 29 minutes. So that's basically 30 minutes right there. 60 plus 30 is 90, and then let's add on another 16 minutes to take off the change from 418. So 90 plus 16 is 106. So it's a 106-minute, 107-minute improvement on my first marathon ever when I ran when I was 20. I didn't have a lot of fun in that marathon. I remember I struggled a lot. I didn't train for it at all. I was just a soccer player. Whole nother story for a whole nother day. I was wearing a pair of hand-me-down shoes from a janitor. A friend of mine's dad was a janitor. I didn't even know what a pair of running shoes was. I was a soccer player with dreadlocks in Madison. I ran the first 16 miles and then walked about 8 miles and then jogged in the last 2 miles. I had the worst shin splints for a month. I had to sleep downstairs on the couch for a month because I couldn't get to my bedroom upstairs. I had such bad shin splints. I didn't know what running form was. Now I'm a certified running coach from Chi Running, and I teach runners mindful running all the time. I'm a high school coach at the Hebrew Academy. I coach track and field at Hebrew Academy and at Project 305 Track Club. I'm a botanist and scientist and podcaster at Live Ultimate. I train 9-year-olds all the way up to 70 to 80-year-olds. And when I'm 100 years old, I want to run a marathon. And when I'm 120, I want to run a marathon. So I think we're here to redefine what people believe is possible and to never give up. And just like Eliud Kipchoge says, humans are unlimited. No human is limited. Keep going, keep believing. And that's what my mantra was during the race. Never quit, because I wanted to quit a bunch of times from mile 14 to 22 when the going got tough with my side stitch. Probably mile 14 to 20. Once I got to 20, I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna keep clipping it off. But I was struggling with mental doubts for about 6 miles, from about mile 14 to 20. And I wanted to quit because of the pain in my side. And I didn't want to go from running a 2:28 to running a 3-hour marathon. That was like a panic in my head, but I kept it together. You know, you just got to talk positive thoughts to yourself. And that's what I did. Just reaffirm, you know, that you're doing good, you know, and I was still holding a sub 6 minute pace. Yeah. I mean, I lost about 10 to 15 seconds per mile, but I wasn't the end of the world. I just kept moving. And I was proud that I never stopped once during the marathon. You know, I grabbed my water, which was Noon. I didn't drink any water the entire race. I drank Noon Endurance Mix the entire race from the aid station. Shout out to Noon. I love their product. I drink it religiously. Had salt sticks, Noon, and my second surge gel. And I need to take more gels in the future, and I need to do more long runs. I've done a lot of marathons, 46 marathons. That carried me through this marathon, my experience, my leg strength of running marathons for 15 years. But basically, credit the experience and I credit the nutrition. I need more long runs. I need to do a better job on my fueling. But overall, the race was an incredible race. I did very good. I'm happy with it. And I'm going to move forward and keep shooting for the sub 230, up my mileage a little bit from 50 to 60 miles a week, back up to 80 to 90 miles a week. Training 7 days a week starting today. I took 2 days off to rest. That's enough. My body feels great. I have no injuries. I'm going to do track tonight, but do an easy 18 by 300 meter workout. I could just jog, and I'm not going to do the 300s hard. Believe me, first hard workout will be like next Wednesday or next Monday, about a week after, 8 days after the race. But my body's healing up great. I only needed ibuprofen right after the race. I don't believe in ibuprofen in general, but my hip flexor was bothering me a lot after the race. So I took 800 milligrams one time. And then besides that, nothing. Normally I'll take a lot of CBD. I didn't have any this time. But normally I'll rely on just anti-inflammatory foods, which I did drink a lot of ginger and beets. And I had a vegan meal with my friend Dario from San Francisco after the race. Shout out to Dario. We went to an awesome vegan restaurant and had a bunch of vegetables and coconut soup and spring rolls and tea. And then we had one beer. That's it. Just one beer to celebrate. Had a really healthy celebration with vegan food. I know that lowered the inflammation levels in my body. I flew back at midnight from Sacramento. That's the hardest part of the trip, was the flights, both directions, especially back. The flight there wasn't so hard. I left at 10:30 in the morning and got there at 4 in the afternoon. You lose 3 hours, yeah, so it takes longer than 6 hours. It takes about 9 hours to get there, including the layover. On the way home, it took about 15 hours to get home. because I left at midnight, but I was in the airport from 4 p.m. until midnight because I really didn't know anyone in Sacramento. Dario came and said hi to me after the race, but he went home at 4 and dropped me at the airport. So I got to the airport at 4 p.m. My flight was at midnight. That was the best flight I could get. Connected through Chicago at 6 a.m. So it was a 4-hour flight. You gained 2 hours to Chicago. Switched planes. It was a 1-hour layover. 7:15, the plane left Chicago. I got to Miami at 11:30 in the morning, and I left Sacramento at midnight. So add the 3-hour time change on, and that's a 15-hour travel, including the 30-minute Uber to get to my home. You have to spend a lot of money on Ubers on these trips. You know, use the bus as much as possible. Uber and Lyft, it's expensive, guys. You got to try to be frugal as much as you can. Take a bus here and there, walk. I walked a couple times to my hotel, about 2 miles. You know, friends help me out when they can. But yeah, marathoning can get expensive, all these travel expenses. Traveling home was very hard. That red-eye home was not easy. I was sleeping on the plane. I was sleeping in the airport. I didn't get good sleep. It took me about 2 to 3 days to catch up on my sleep. Last night, I got 12 hours of sleep. I went to bed at 7:30 p.m. and I woke up at 7:30 a.m. I did toss and turn a little bit because that's a lot of sleep. But the night before, I got about 10 hours of sleep, my first night back. And then last night, I got 12. Now I'm caught up. I feel like a spring chicken. I'm going to get back to training. I'm going to let you guys go. Have a beautiful week. Happy 2021. It's almost over. I'll get you guys a couple more videos before the end of the year. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll try to always keep them under an hour unless I have a guest. And I'll produce some videos for you too. I'll share with you guys nutrition, crypto knowledge, training secrets, nutrition secrets, training plans, shoe use, just a lot of questions. Anything you have, let me know. Write them in the comments section. I love you guys. Thank you for the support. It means everything. I want to help you guys become the best runners you can be and enjoy doing it pain-free and just help you. I've learned a lot over the last 15 years and studied a lot. I've learned under some of the most talented runners in Miami, and I've traveled the world and I've done a lot of research. So I'm a researcher. Ask me questions, guys. Have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you soon. Be well. Much love from Miami Beach.